Right, it's 2:30 now. We're going to ride till 4. We don't know what the conditions are like. We're only 100 kilometres away from the shack. So we're going to ride till 4, pull over, have a look at the map, determine how far we are from the shack, and depending on that will dictate whether we pull over or continue on, even if it means getting in a little bit later than we'd like. Man down. I've decided on behalf of the group that we're not going to make it to the shack. Oh, it's over again. Because otherwise I think people are going to try and just take a few risks. You know, it's hot at the moment, or warm. Fatigue will kick in and we'll have more of this. So I've decided we'll ride till 4. And then we'll find a place to pull up. It just ain't worth it. It just becomes exhausting after a while. It just becomes exhausting after a while. I can see Tom ahead. I can't tell. Oh no, he's upright. He's probably just waiting for us. If I'm worried about him having to do a foot dab to keep himself upright, especially if he uses that right foot. It's only plates and metal holding it in place at the moment. Oh, look at this. 60 kilometres an hour. Oh, look at this. Beautiful. Must have had a grader over it 20 years ago. This is nice. That's a refreshing breeze. I'm melting under all of this. Yeah, still a few tricky bits. The road conditions did improve, only marginally and only for a short time. Yeah, it's gone back to sandy twin track. Cots's bended again. There was a long stretch of deep sand. Unfortunately, you've got to make speed, momentum your friend, and it's just it's an unnatural thing to do, to want to accelerate, but it takes a bit of confidence to be able to pull it off. And because he's laid it over already a couple of times, his confidence will be shattered, and he's probably getting tired. The best thing he can probably do is paddle his way through it, but that is just so exhausting as well. It's a hard grind. He'd have to work his clutch over time. But at this stage of the game, I don't see that he has too many options. There are lots, and I mean lots, you won't be able to see it, but there's lots of camel footprints. They take the tracks because they like to take the path of least resistance. I don't know if you can see them. But those camel footprints and the shooter's shack are actually related. There's a connection between the two. I'll talk about that at some other time. Yeah, you might be able to pick them up now, maybe, depending on the position of the sun. Anyway, yeah, this place is teeming with feral camels, and as I said, more on that later. Just come through a long, tough stretch of sand that went for hundreds of metres, and if I was a betting man, I'd say that Paul has probably laid it over, because yeah, that was tough going. Yeah, see all these, that's a camel toe. That's a camel footprint there. In this case, he's just crossed the track and Goin bush. You can see them all here. They normally roam in mobs, and lately the deserts have had some really good rainfalls, and where you might find them just in a mob of 2 or 3 and looking pretty mangy, now you'll find them in a mob of a dozen or 15 in really, really good shape. There's other footprints around as well, probably dingo, dog. Yeah, you can see them everywhere. Anyway, yeah, this was a nasty bit of sand. It goes for hundreds of kilometres, hundreds of metres. Yeah, tough going. It's a bit of a walk.
I'll put my helmet on and that will keep going. Hang on.
Bit of exhaustion, bit of dehydration.
I really want to stop. Oh, that top. Yeah, I might just walk it up, eh? What do you think?
I'm going to get a lift back with Chris. I'll just stand on his running board, hang on to something that won't fall off, because it's yeah, a few hundred metres. You be right, mate? Yeah, it's going to be tough taking off from a standing start with these sidecars as well. They're 2-wheel drive, but I don't even know if that'll make a difference. Right, the band's back together. We're going to pull up. Tom has actually found a spot just up the road here. A couple of 100 metres, he says. The only problem is we've got to get through a bit of sand first. I know that won't please Cots, but whether we do it now or early in the morning won't matter. So yeah, nearly knock off time. Everybody's yeah, a little bit fatigued. That's when you start making mistakes. Alright. Won't take much rocking to get me to sleep tonight, I don't think. Pick a spot, Steve. Pick a spot. Here's a nice spot. Nice and flat. That's me done. That's me done. Oh dear. Alright, I don't mind admitting that I'm a bit anxious. Yeah, got about 80 kilometres to go, and Tom was looking at the map and he said there's a number of low-lying areas that we've got to pass or go through, and that could mean some more sand. I think we've all woken up a little bit, not sore, but you know, we would have used muscles that we haven't used for a while. Yeah, a bit of anxiety. Alright, looks like Tom wants to lead. And straight up, we've got some sand. Oh no, that's alright. Yeah, we've got about we think 30 kilometres on this track. And then it comes to a junction and we'll be turning left. So all things being equal, we should be there around about noon, 1 o'clock perhaps, in time for lunch. Whoopsie. I just went through some snotty stuff. Just pulled over to wait for Paul. I think he might have laid it over again. And we've only been on the road for a few minutes. It really does shatter your confidence. I mean, you've got to stand up, lean back and power on. And unless you feel confident doing that, as soon as you back off, then it's all over, Red Rover. So yeah, my guess is he's laid it over. You know, the two sidecars and Chris are behind him, so he's got help there to stand the bike up. The biggest risk, of course, is if you hurt yourself. Nobody wants that. Yeah, Paul ended up just paddling through some of that deeper stuff. Probably the safest bet, as long as you don't overwork the clutch. The clutch on these DR650s, yeah, they're not very strong, not very tough. And if you slip it too much, you'll wear it out pretty quickly. I've actually changed the gearing on mine. Standard gearing is a 15 and 42 sprocket combination. I've changed my rear to 45 just to make it a little bit lower geared for this snotty stuff, because first gear in these bikes is pretty tall, straight off the showroom floor. Oh, tough, tiring work. Right, this is the junction. Oh, lots more camel footprints. I don't know whether you can make that out. Yeah, if you continue heading that way. Oh, look, I think it takes I mean, look, that would be Lake Rayson, just north of us. I mean, just past that tree line. Yeah, we start heading west here now. Yeah, lots of camels. I'm surprised we haven't seen any yet. I'm sure we will. Well, the track conditions have improved slightly. Still a little bit of sand in places, but at least this has had a grader over it since the last century. So yeah, our average speed has picked up a little. Not that we're in a rush. My guess is that most of the riders will arrive after noon today, depending on the remains of a camel, probably shot by camel shooters, just culling the population. Once again, more on that later. So yeah, I would expect most of the riders to arrive after noon today. There may already be some people there, got there last night, but yeah, at this pace we should be there, I guess, within an hour and a half or so. Don't know who these guys are, could be prospectors. We're just out for a yip-yar. I wonder if they've used the shooter's shack as a base camp. You wouldn't expect to be out here just one vehicle on their own, and maybe they're camel shooters, I don't know. Oh dear. Yeah, you wouldn't want to hit that at speed. That would throw you off. Oh Jesus. Yeah. Stay here and warn the others. Yeah, that geez, if you hit that at 50 k's an hour, it'd send you over the handlebars. Yeah, you got to get on the pegs as soon as you can. Transferred all that weight down low. Yeah, they're just very shallow creek lines, and the water during flooding, it just washes all the creek sand onto the track. Well, I don't think we have all that far to go now. Those blokes in that side by side, Bo had a bit of a chat to them. Those guys are actually staying at the shooter shack. You noticed a couple of hunting rifles, so yeah, they're probably just going out to see what they can find. And the blokes in the side by side did indicate that there were already blokes there last night, which is to be expected. Yeah, some of the conditions are still a bit tricky. When the sun's behind you like this, it's very hard to see the wheel tracks, and it's also very hard to determine the surface. It could be a bulldust hole, it could be sand. Everything looks the same. But anyway, yeah, as I said, we must be getting close by now. Oopsie. Hang on to it, Steve. Hang on to it. Doing a bit of a sand dance. Whoa! Get in a second. Work the engine a bit harder. At least the bike is more responsive if you're in a lower gear. Twist the throttle and it straight away starts behaving. I don't know whether you want to have a look around and then find a spot. Alright, come for a walk with me and I'll give you a quick cook's tour of the shooter shack. But in 25 words or less, the reason it exists is a number of guys got together and from very, very humble beginnings, and I'll show you photographs of how it started and where it is now, but a number of guys got together with the intention of having, let's call it a base camp if you like, and it's officially known as the 7 Millers Shack. Millers being 7mm, which is obviously the calibre of the rifles that they use to go primarily camel shooting. And the reason they do that is, a lot of people aren't aware, but camels are introduced to Australia. They were introduced as pack animals back in the day to open up the outback. And once the road and transport infrastructure became better and more reliable, the camels were no longer needed, so they just let them off the lead to roam the outback. And there's numbers like about 600 to 1 million camels out there. And in fact, some are now exported back to the Arabic countries for breeding, because all our camels are disease free, and also meat. So it's a bit of a turnaround that we're now actually exporting them overseas. But anyway, I'll give you the cook's tour.
Has anybody figured out the electrics? Because apparently there's a switch and all these fairy lights and everything else. Yeah, somebody's figured it out? Whoopsie. Whoopsie, excuse me.
One of the young fellas.
Use the door.
One of the young fellas.
I didn't see a sign that said push. Yeah, anyway, here's effectively a photographic timeline, if you like, of the different stages of the shack over the years. I've just been told hot and cold running water. They've obviously plumbed it for a generator, or there's stored power somewhere, because the power's actually on at the moment. There's some lights on the inside here, but apparently there's hot and cold running water.
Been standing up there talking to their ladies.
Yeah, solar panels there. So I'm not sure if they've got battery storage. I think they must have, because the lights are on after dark as well, I think. I've just been speaking to a couple of guys. There's actually, I mentioned before, there's a couple of blokes who have got access to the shack legitimately. They're out there shooting. A couple of doctors from Laverton, I believe. But anyway, that aside, just talking to a couple of blokes there. And there's hot and cold running water, the toilet flushes, and they've even got internet, because a couple of the guys who are staying here, the locals, let's call them that, the locals have got a Starlink, bloody whatever they are, and the password is on a note on the fridge, so we've even got access to the internet. So yeah, I would expect a 5-star review after this. Just hearing a couple of more blokes rolling in. It is pretty generous of the shack owners to let us utilise the area. And all they ask is that you respect the place. There's some simple rules. Just show a bit of respect and leave things the way you found them, So yeah, good on them, good on them. What happened, mate?
Oh, hi Steve, how are you?
I'm well.
Just a classic little off in a thing. I think I've broken it. You can see there's quite a...
Apparently there's 2 doctors staying here
Yeah.
that are out there shooting at the moment, so you'll be in good hands.
So I phoned Laverton Hospital, and so that is broken. I was hoping it was going to be a bad sprain, but sadly no. Miles back and heading out the other direction.
Yeah, but I presume they'll be back tonight.
Which way did you?
This is mine.
Which way did you come in on this?
From Yamana down, 78 k's.
Fuck.
I thought everyone had that.
I saw one bloke on a big 1250 GS. You've got to take your hat off to these guys who ride these really big bikes in places like this. Saw a Harley Davidson Pan American. That's 1200. Jesus, yeah, they've got bigger gonads than me. We'll just have a look at some of the other machinery that's kicking around. It's about dark and we've still got blokes arriving. I wonder what sort of a day they've had. Well, it's the morning after the night before. Could be a few sore heads, I think. Yeah, blokes are starting to suit up, pack up and leave, and some are using this as a springboard to go on a longer ride, which is what we're doing, and others of course will be just going back home. There's lots of different options. getting back to either Perth or in some cases Queensland, because we had a few blokes come from Queensland and one from Tasmania. We had 40 riders show up all up, which is sort of what I expected considering where we are and the distances involved, so that's not a bad turnout. One of the blokes who crashed and broke his ankle, his bike is staying here for safekeeping, and that'll be recovered by trailer, I guess, at a later date.
Right, we're away. Interesting place. Very, very humble beginnings, and developed over the many years to where it is now. It was blown away once during a storm, so they pretty much had to start again. Yeah, utilised by a lot of people like us, transits. There's a visitor's book there with many entries in it. The history, of course, is on the walls. It was also used as a police base, if you like. In 2015, there was a camel shooter who wounded a beast and kept following to finish it off effectively, and he ended up getting disorientated and lost. So there was a massive search out for him over the course of 5 days, and an Aboriginal tracker found one footprint, and with that little information was able to track him down, and he was found 5 days later near death, but he lived, he survived. So yeah, it's come in handy at times for different reasons. So yeah, enjoyable stay. I think most of the blokes who got there enjoyed it. 40 riders showed up. Now getting out of here, the shortest possible route is 190 kilometres to Laverton, and everybody who came in that way didn't enjoy it at all. Lots of heavy deep sand. But some blokes came in from an alternative route, a little bit longer, but a lot easier. So that's the way we're going to get out. We travel down here for 14 kilometres. What's my speedo telling me now? Yep, 14 kilometres, and then we turn right and sort of follow your nose and get on a White Cliffs Road and then into Laverton. About 200, well, depending on who you talk to, 220, 240 kilometres. And apparently the going is pretty quick. Some mine access roads or something, so we'll take that, because the other option by the sound of it is pretty torturous. There were some big bikes there, 1200 HP2s, a Harley Davidson and a BMW 1250. So yeah, hats off to those guys for getting big bikes like that in there. So yeah, we'll make our way to Laverton, where we'll meet Dave, and that's the next part of this particular journey. I did say it has lots of moving parts, and that's another one of them. So yeah, we are meeting another rider in Laverton, Dave on his BMW R 1200 GSA. More on that later.